Hello, hello, good afternoon. Why is this crookedy? Oh, let me get myself together. Okay. Oh, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, you guys. Today, I wasn't here yesterday because I was on my session with my membership. I have a Recycled Besties membership, and we meet every week. And we create together and we hang out together. It's actually really fun. Yesterday was a really good session. We had a guest instructor. Um, but I'm back today. And so today we're gonna do a project. I have this wooden box. Did I take a picture? Oh man. I am so fired. I meant to take a picture and I even took a video of me prepping this box, but I forgot to load it. So it was just a wooden box. It had like a rooster and some stars on it. So I've taken the time to go through it in advance and to just prime this. I just use a white primer just in case. You never know with these old wood pieces. So we're going to decoupage the bottom. And for the top, I just seal the top because I want to use milk paint on the top and I'm hoping to get some crackle. So I seal the wood so it wouldn't absorb any of the extra moisture so that hopefully we can get some crackle. If you are new here, my name is Royce Hunt Bell. I'm founder, owner, and operator of Recycled Treasures, and we are meeting every day in the month of January create something with our hand. You can look at this as a co-working space. You can meet me every day and you can create in your space while I'm creating here or just come and hang out. I'm not reading comments though because I'm trying to stay focused. These are supposed to be quick crafts. They haven't, but they are start to finish. So when we finish today, we'll have something that is completely done. And I'm hoping that this will inspire you. And if you're co-creating, you'll be inspired for 2026. Um, let's get started. So I have this one, and then for today's project, I'm going to be using, I was kind of running around. I know I'm late. I apologize. I was running around looking for one of my stencils that I did not find ultimately. I have a recycled crockery stencil, and it's like a larger crock and a small crock. And then I even have some markings like that you would find on old antique crocks on that stencil. And when I created this decoupage paper, it was made with the intention that you would use these textures in conjunction with your crockery stencil. So, for instance, I did upload some pictures though. Um, I think I uploaded all of them. So, like with this project, I used the crockery stencil, which is what made the shape of the paper on the bottom, in conjunction with this paper to create that. I use it kind of as a vase on this specific one. And then I used some floral transfers to finish this. And so it looks like it's a little vase. Super cute, right? On this one, I used the crockery stencil, but I actually used some a texture medium with the stencil to create the crock. So it's like super crackly and yummy. And then I used the corrugated metal decoupage paper as the background and some floral transfers to go in my crockery. And then you guys know I love texture. I can't even help myself. So on this piece, I used texture medium crockery stencil and then some transfers to make this one. So just super fun stuff. But today we're going to use it as a decoupage paper on this project. I was on Pinterest and I saw these super cute salt boxes, and I thought we could make something similar using the crockery texture decoupage paper that I have. So I'm going to be using the crockery textures decoupage paper. This is just a little cute wood box that I found at the thrift store. I am going to be using como se dice? This is a matte varnish, a water-based varnish, and I'll be using this to adhere and to seal my decoupage paper today. I'm going to be using some white milk paint for the top, and then I already have my mold made for the sake of time, and so that we can put this on there. And I have my stamp all set up to be able to stamp salt on there because this is a salt box, and I'll be using some permanent ink with my stamp in order to stamp this. So that is the plan. I wanted to take a few seconds to talk about something. David and I will often watch cooking shows, and there are a couple of guys cooking shows that I we watch, and I'm like, if I was a person who didn't know how to cook and I was watching them, I would just assume I'm never going to learn how to cook because every time they do a dish, it is like super super complicated. And I do not want to be that person, right? I don't want you guys to come and every time we do a project, there's like 50, 11 steps and it's super complicated. So on today's project, we're really going to have 3 iterations of this project. We're going to have a super easy peasy beginner friendly piece that will be complete. We'll have that. And y'all know me though. We're also gonna level up one more time with the milk paint, and then we're gonna level up one more time with the fine line crackle. So I want you guys to look at this as like 3 versions of this project. You don't have to do the most complicated version to be able to create this. So we're gonna start off with the first version or the first iteration of this project by simply decoupaging it. So I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm going to carve out just this section of the paper. And if you guys are new to Royce Cycle Decoupage, my decoupage paper sheets are 21 inches by 29 inches. They are a heavier decoupage paper. It's like an 18-pound tissue paper so that it's heavier than regular tissue paper, which is nice because it gives you a lot more flexibility when you're using it, but it is still tissue paper. So you still get to keep the benefit of it being tissue paper, but it's a lot more forgiving than our tissue papers are. So I'm going to cut that out. And I still have these other textures that I can use on other projects, right? So I just need to figure out what I'm going to decoupage where. And I like to do a dry fit because I don't like to waste paper. I want to be able to use as less paper as possible. Um, I mean, within reason, you guys know what I mean. Oh, look at that. It was almost long enough to go all the way around, but not quite. So I think I'll do 2 sides at a time rather than trying to go all the way around. So we'll just look at the first 2 sides. 1, 2, it cuts off right here. So I'm going to trim this a little like past. Let me do something really quickly. I like to have it close, but I also want to leave myself a little bit of margin of error. So I'm not going to try to trim it perfectly. I'm going to trim it just past where it cuts off. And then I can just trim that super easy later. And then I still have this other side that we can do the other 2 um, pieces with. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure that off. And so my design won't run all the way around because it wasn't quite long enough, but I don't think it'll matter by the time we're done. Anyways, honestly. So I have my 4 sides to my box ready. I didn't trim this one, did I? I should just do 3 and 1. I'll do 3 and 1. And then we can put the salt on this side, and that will make it like less obvious that it doesn't match the rest of it. So, um, and I'm using matte, but you can use whatever formula you prefer, whether you like gloss or semi-gloss or satin, that's totally up to you. It's a personal choice. Let me get a brush. I did not wash my brushes after our last live, you guys. I'm fired. And If you guys are here for the first time, please like and follow. And like I said, I'll be live every day bringing you guys really cool tutorials. If you've missed some of the past ones, you guys can go to YouTube, and I've actually made a whole playlist of all the lives I've done so far. So you can take a look. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to put my varnish right here. And I'm only going to do one side at a time, even though my paper is all like one piece. We're going to do it one side at a time so it's manageable. Whenever I am putting varnish on my piece, I always like look at it from the side, and you want to make sure that you don't have any like dry patches. That's how you get bubbles, is where you have an area where there isn't any medium. So I'm going to mist my paper. And the reason I'm misting my paper is so that those fibers can relax, because that's what happens. That's why your paper wrinkles, is because the paper is responding to the moisture of your medium. So if you spritz it first, you stretch your paper ahead of time, and then you don't have to worry about. Let me make sure. You guys see that? I have it on that crooked. So if I didn't pay attention, I would end up with this on this side. So I'm going to reposition that before it gets adhered on there really well, and make sure that I'm good to go all the way around. And it looks like I will be. So then I can go ahead and push that down so I get good adhesion between the paper and my surface. This is going to be so pretty. I feel like I need to make like a whole sheet of this kind of a design. What do you guys think? Like, I think we need that in our life. One of the questions I get is whether you should spritz the front or the back of your paper. Most of the time, it doesn't really matter. But if you have a really dark design where there's a lot of ink on the paper, you may want to miss the back. And what happens is the ink acts as a resist, and it doesn't keep your paper from responding. It just takes a little longer. So if you have a darker design or design with a lot of ink in it, you can miss the back so that the paper responds faster. But if you're not in a hurry, then you can just miss the front, and that's fine too. I'm way too excited about this project, you guys. And I don't know, do any of you guys collect salt boxes? Because they're not super easy to find. And sometimes I'll have an idea for a vignette, and if I can't find the real, like, vintage version, I'm going to figure out how to make it myself. And this is one of those instances. And so over the next few days, I think that what we'll do is we'll do for the, let me see, today's Thursday, Friday. Let's do some projects that will all fit into the same vignette. I think that would be really cool. So I'm going to dry and trim this before we move on to this last side, just to make sure um, that everything looks good. But you guys see how quick and easy it is to transform a surface just by decoupaging it. So I know you guys see me doing a lot of extra stuff, but you don't have to do all the extra. You don't have to be extra. I mean, you can be, but you don't have to be. Every time I say the word extra, I think about the TikTok sound. Am I extra, or are you just basic? So I am using a water-based varnish to both adhere my paper and to top coat it. But you can use whatever you have. Like for this is going to be on a shelf somewhere, right? It's probably not going to see a ton of activity. So you can use, and when I say varnish, you guys, whether you have, if you have like clay-based paint or chalk-based paint on your table, you probably have like a top coat, clear coat, varnish, right? And it's water-based. You can use that more than likely to adhere and to seal your paper. If you are someone who has acrylic products on your table, you probably have like a matte medium or a gel medium, and you can use that to decoupage as well and to seal your project. And if you have like craft paints, you're probably more than likely to have like Mod Podge or some type of decoupage glue, then you can absolutely use those to decoupage as well. Mod Podge is kind of tacky, and I feel like with the tissue paper, um, I can take more advantage of the paper being able to reposition it if I water my Mod Podge down a little bit. With it being super tacky, you're more likely to tear if you try to reposition. But if you water it down, it still works well. Not a lot, just a little bit. But it does, it's not as tacky. So you can kind of maintain the ability to reposition your paper if you need to. And I'm thinking if this is going to be ceramic, I probably should be using a gloss medium, shouldn't I? So I'll pick up my gloss decoupage medium um, we have a lot of layers to go. We'll be fine. It'll be fine. So I am going to use my finger sander and trim this. Let me put a new one on though. I've worn this one out, so we're gonna put a new piece of sandpaper on here, and I want to use a 180. So I like a 220, but these come either 240 or 180. So the 180 is fine. So when you're using sandpaper to trim your decoupage paper, something to think about is the grit of your sandpaper. If it's like an 80 grit, that's going to be too harsh because the grit on that sandpaper is going to be really big. And my experience is that it can score your project. So a 180 or a 220 is perfect. It's going to be aggressive enough to be able to trim fairly quickly. Once you get into like 300 or 320, I mean, it'll work, but you'll be sanding for a long time. So 180, 220 is nice because it's quick, but it still gives you like a nice clean trim without scoring your paper. And you guys see my motion is down, even though I'm moving across my surface. The whole time my motion is down like that because if I pull up, like this corner right here isn't adhered really well. If I pull up, then I risk tearing that. So even though that isn't tacked down really well, I'm still gonna get a clean trim because I'm only pulling down. And then I can go back and just tack that down when I'm done. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I love using this because I mean you can use sandpaper, but for me to hold a piece of sandpaper, I know it's going to sound crazy, but it can be hard. My hands do not always have good days. You guys can see my pinky right here. Oh, Arthur is messing with me already, and I'm only 56. Um, and so I like using either this or a sanding sponge. You guys see me use a sanding block or even a sanding sponge. Just having that extra, being able to hold on to something makes it easier. And these are nice because they're relatively inexpensive and you get a bunch of these strips to come with them. So we have one more side to decoupage. Decoupage. So I'm gonna see if I can pick like the best I'm not gonna be able to match it exactly because it's different, but I can't even tell which way that's going. This way. So I'm just gonna go ahead and decoupage this like this. So we have one more side to go. Kind of like the idea of this though. Let's do that. And I'm just gonna use my finger to score that one side. And I'm trimming just past that line, just in case I make a mistake. And then we are going to go ahead and decoupage that on there. So, um, Which medium you use too also depends on what project you're using. This is a decor project, so it's not as important. But like if I were doing a piece of furniture, I would use a really quality varnish or top coat, your clear coat, right? Water based to adhere and to seal my paper. So I can make sure that my furniture piece is durable. So I might as well go ahead and tack down that corner there. And again, I'm looking at my box from the side. I'm gonna see if I can show you guys. You guys see how you can see it's shiny? See that shininess? If you look at it from the side and you see something that's not shiny, it looks dull, it means that there's not product there. And so if you see a dry spot, you wanna go back and make sure that you put some medium down. 9 times out of 10, if you're getting bubbles in your decoupage, that's why. Let's go right over the top of that, and we'll dry this and trim this. And then we can now. So remember we talked about earlier about the different iterations of this project. This is going to be the most simple iteration. Like you could decoupage this, you could put this wood top right back on it. It would be super cute. You could be done, right? But y'all know me, I'm complicated. So I'm going to keep going. I would love to find a ceramic salt box. I haven't found one yet. Not one that I'm willing to pay for. Let's just be clear. I don't want to spend $100 for it, but I'm gonna find it though. So this paper that I'm using, you guys, is called the this is a Royce Cycle decoupage paper. And this is a crockery textures decoupage paper is what I'm using today. And this square is one of 4 textures that are on the paper. And if you guys are looking for Roycycle decoupage papers, you guys can find it at roycycle.com. And you can also find a map of local retailers who carry Roycycle decoupage papers. So you can put your location and see if you have someone close to you. Even if you have an online person closer to you than I am, I'm in Arizona, they may be able to offer you better shipping. So you can order from them. Um, or you can order direct from the site. So this is dry enough. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this. And when I'm live, I'm always pushing things because we only have like a set amount of time, right? But you guys, if you're home, let your paper dry completely before you trim it. You're just less likely to tear it, and you're gonna get a more of a clean trim if your paper is completely dry. Mine's not completely dry, so I'm crossing my fingers that I'm not gonna tear it. But I know you guys don't want to watch paper dry, so okay. So like I could be done, right? This is super cute. I could stop right here and this would be a fabulous project, right? So if you're someone who's been watching me and you're thinking that you can't decoupage because you're seeing me doing really complicated projects, please understand that you guys don't have to do all that stuff. You can start with something simple and like really this would be so cute. So cute, just like that. But you guys know me. Y'all already know I'm going to do more. I'm going to do a little extra. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be using a crackle medium over this. So I'm going to pick up my gloss decoupage medium. I'm going to go over this. I am convinced that I get better results when I go over a gloss surface with the fine line crackle. I have no scientific evidence to support my claim, but I do think that what causes the cracks is the movement of the product underneath versus the movement of the product on top. And because they're moving, that's what causes the cracks. And I feel like the product can be move easier over a gloss than it would over something matte. And again, I have no scientific evidence to back that claim, but that's what I think happens. Maybe if I can find it. Oh man. Oh, I do not want to test my theory today. So I need to find my decoupage medium that's glossy. That's not, no, that's glitter. That's ultra matte. Oh, I found it. I was gonna say, I've been trying to be really good about putting things away. So I'm gonna go over the top of this really quickly. And like literally, I'm only doing this because I want a glossy surface. Although usually if I decoupage something, I'll put a couple of coats of whatever medium I'm using over the top. And if you're working on like say furniture, right? You probably want to do 2 or 3 coats of your varnish to protect the paper. I'll get questions sometimes from people asking how durable the decoupage paper is, and the answer is it's durable as a top coat that you use over it. So you want to make sure you're using the appropriate top coat. And if you are a recycled insider, um, you for this so my recycled insiders get guides every month, and they're guides for different things. I can't remember what last month was. Does somebody remember? And this month's guide is going to be on how to seal your decoupage paper. So I'll be talking about, different options for sealing your paper under different like conditions. So outdoors versus indoors, furniture versus home decor versus paper craft, right? Each one's going to have a little bit of a different requirement. Um, and so it's just something to think about when you're working on your projects. Is it going to be something like if it's a coaster, maybe somebody might sit some hot tea on it, like my hot tea I have here. And is that something you need to consider? Because if it is, then you're going to want to use a different kind of sealer. So that is going to be before the end of the month. I forget which week it's scheduled for. And if you are not an insider, if you're on Facebook, you can put hashtag insider and you'll get a message on how to become an insider. And if you are brand new to me and you would like to receive your first guide, you can put hashtag guide in the comments and you will get an 8-page decoupage guide showing you how you can use your decoupage paper with all the other things that you probably already have on your craft table to produce beautiful custom finishes. So that even though you're using the same products, as your creative friends are using, you're able to create something completely custom and to your liking. I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to mix some more of my white. Mm, 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 mm. I thought I had the milk paint right here. I have black and I have the other one, but I don't have white. Give me 1 second. Y'all speak amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love. Don't you guys hate when you have a song in your head and you don't know all the words? We went to go see The Wiz, the play in Tucson last week. And so Stephanie Mills' Home is in my head, which I love that song. I just don't know all the words. Okay. I'm just going to mix 1 teaspoon of milk paint today, and that will probably be too much for this project. And so I did kind of a heaping teaspoon. So I'm gonna do ah a little more than just 1 teaspoon of water, right? But I do want to mix it kind of thick. I have just a ridiculous amount of craft supplies and art supplies. Um, but yeah, they're not always where they're supposed to be. I've been trying to do better though, because I realize I waste so much time looking for stuff. Like legitimately, so much time. Now I know that this wood top probably represents what you would actually see on a salt box. But I want to add some character. So this is my salt box, and I'm gonna make it how I want to. And you guys, I'm sorry. I'm not reading or responding to comments because I'm trying to stay focused, but I will go back and look at your comments afterwards. If you guys like chatting, I am live Sunday nights with my husband where we do a lot of chatting. So you guys can join us there, where we do crafting and chatting. And that's Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I like to let this sit for just a minute before I start painting. Let's let that sit before I start painting, and then we can stamp. So I want to put this label on my box, right? And I'm going to label it salt. And I know it's a little bigger. Y'all, I came in this morning and I tried to pour from the labels mold. I forget what it's called. And my resin was cold and it's not working right. And then I had this label made, but my salt is too big. It won't fit in there. So I'm going to go ahead and use the larger one. I think it'll be fine. Um, and I'm just going to use a little bit of permanent ink. I am going to go ahead and use black ink. Usually I'll use like a dark stone ink, but we're going to be doing some other stuff on top of here. So I'm going to go ahead and go in with black. I wonder if blue would have been better. It's too late. I don't have my blue ink out here. So I'm just going to take my brayer and go over that. I did mount my stamps ahead of time for time's sake. And I've mounted them just on a piece of plastic. You guys know when you get your stamps, you have that piece of plastic that you pull off. Don't throw that away. Keep that. You can use that for all kinds of stuff. And one of the things you can use it for is to mount. Although you can also buy mounts to use, and they have like a grid so you can measure. Oh, that's actually not too bad, huh? So we're going to set this aside and let it dry. I'm gonna apply a little bit of heat on there. And my goal is to let that box dry completely so we can adhere this. And then I want to use the fine line crackle over everything. Y'all pray for me that we can get this all done in like a decent amount of time. And so I'm glad that the simple project is resonating. I didn't think about that honestly until last night. This is what happens to me though, right? I have an idea and my mind just keeps creating more ideas around that idea until I sit here at this table. Like if 30 more minutes had gone by, I probably would have figured out something else to add to this. It's so ridiculous. But absolutely cute, just like that. Just like that. So you don't have to do anything else if you don't want. And sometimes when you're learning something new, it's nice to start out simple because then you can kind of gain confidence and then you can start, layering things on and doing more difficult projects. Unless you're like me, I just jump into the 12 feet, y'all. I'm a mess. So if you've tried to decoupage before and you were not successful, I don't want you to say, "Oh, I can't do that." Because A, if you've only tried once, have you really tried? And B, sometimes you just need information. So hashtag guide, and I will send you my 8-page decoupage guide. I also have another guide on how to get a wrinkle-free finish. If you go to roycycle.com, there's a link at the top that says resources, and you guys can go to that page, and I think I have like 5 resources on there. And one of them is how to get a wrinkle-free decoupage finish. So like if you're brand new, that one-page guide is going to be really, really helpful for you. And I am just putting this milk paint on here, and I'm being super like kind of crazy with my brush strokes here because I don't want it to be smooth. I'm hoping to get some crackle. So you guys, I did a box on our live on Sunday, and it was wood, and I didn't get any crackle. And I thought, well, that wood was pretty thirsty, right? It probably absorbed a lot of the paint. And so I sealed this wood. So I'm doing a bit of an experiment. And I want to see if working on a sealed surface, because with all of our metal projects last week, it crackled beautifully. And to me, the only difference well, there's two differences between the wood and the metal. One is the way that they conduct heat, which that could be why, but we don't know. And the other is because it's what's the word I'm looking for? The surface is closed. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Whereas the wood is more absorbent. So I tried to address one of the issues by sealing this wood to see if maybe we could get some more crackle, and we'll see what happens. And if it's not that, it may very well be that the wood just conducts the heat differently than the metal does. And the other thing is that milk paint is really unpredictable, just but in its nature. So it just could be that it just didn't crackle that night because it didn't want to. But I am all about experimentation. Anybody who's been with me for a while, you guys know that I say where experimentation goes, creativity follows. It's in those spaces of courage and experimentation and play that we find out what we like and what we dislike. And those likes and dislikes that we find out about our creating is what makes our artistic voices, right? It's the culmination of all those things that really make up our artistic voices. So I encourage you to make time to play. And I mean play without any expectations kind of play. And I'm just laying on a little bit of extra paint and going in with my heat right away in an effort to like encourage some crack-a-lacking because I really do want to have some cracks on here. Okay. I probably could have done like a fourth of a teaspoon, and that would have been still too much paint. So I'm gonna have to figure out something else to paint with the rest of that chocolate style. I mean, with the rest of that milk paint. You guys see, I have a little jacket on today. It's probably like 40 degrees, but I'm an Arizonan. I am so cold. So I am getting some crack-a-lacking. And I do feel like the heat from my embossing gun also encourages additional cracks. I made a bit of a mess here though, so I'm gonna go over this one more time to kind of make everything look a little bit smoother. I got a little carried away there, and so it looks like super splotchy and not in a good way. Let me go around the edges too. with the second coat. And when I'm laying this down, I'm using a super light hand because I don't want to reactivate the paint that's under there. So I just really want to be able to lay this paint down on top of the other paint. But everything is completely dry though. So often, one of the things I discovered in my instruction is that I'll say, put 2 layers of a product down. And some people will put 2 layers, but they'll do both layers while everything is still wet. When you do that, you're really not putting down 2 layers. You're just moving the product around again. So, if something says to put, 2 coats or 2 layers, you wanna make sure your first layer drop before you put down your first layer, because otherwise you're just moving around the same product and you're really not applying 2 coats or 2 layers. So this will be my last layer of this milk paint. I wanna get it dry enough for us to see some crack-a-lackin', and, for me to be able to do a wet distress on here. So there are a lot of ways to distress things. I remember when I first started painting furniture, you guys, I had like a chain, a scraper, sanding blocks. Like I would be abusing my furniture so bad because I wanted it to look right, like it was like old furniture. But for these projects, one of the reasons I think I'm enjoying the nail paint so much is because it's so easy to do a wet distress with it. And I got a little bit of cracking, but not as much as I anticipated. I got some though, so I'll take it. And I wonder if I like warm up the like if the wood is warm from the other side, if that will get more cracking. Know what I mean from the underside? I don't know. My brain is always asking questions. And when I cannot find the answer to said questions, I drive myself absolutely insane. It is so ridiculous. It's ludicrous. Okay. So I am going to, we have some cracking, which is nice. I will take it. And then I'm going to be using the fine line crackle anyway. So I guess, it's not going to be a big deal if I don't get a ton of crackalacken. I'm just taking a dry brush and kind of encouraging any chipping. Like for me, any chipping that's going to happen, I want it to go ahead and happen so it doesn't keep happening. Know what I mean? I didn't get as much crackle as I thought I would, but it's okay. Wow. So maybe the way the metal conducts the heat also contributes to the cracking. Although having the wood be non-porous did give me some cooling, so that part of the experiment still had value. Let's go in and do some wet distressing. I just have my wax towel here that I'm going to use, find a clean corner, and I'm going to wet this. And I just want to wipe back a few places. And whenever I'm doing distressing, I'm always thinking about how the piece may have been used. It's almost like you're writing a visual story for your piece that you're working on. And like if someone's taking this lid off over and over again, right? There would be distress right here from doing that. And they probably grab the same side every time. And so there is some there. And then of course, along our edges is good. I'm gonna put a little bit here too. But you guys see how like easy that wipes back all the way to the wood beautifully. And it's just way more organic than I'm using a sanding block. Sanding block is still nice. It's just like sharper. Okay, I think that's good. So just really pretty. We have some sort of distress on there. We have some cracks coming off. And I do have some crackling, but I'm gonna use my fine line crackle on the lid to get what I want. I'm gonna get what I want one way or the other. So I'm gonna set that aside and um, I am gonna dry my box. I wanna make sure this is good and dry before I try to adhere my and I'm gonna focus on this one side since that's the only place I'm gonna be gluing this, but I wanna make sure it's dry. I have the wood showing through on the sides right here, and I'm trying to figure out how I feel about that. I think that I'm gonna go and just put a little bit of milk paint there. I'd rather have it just be white underneath the fine line crackle. Oh, be careful. Don't put that too close to your paper and make it bubble. Um, than to have that dark showing through. I feel like if this were crockery, I wouldn't have that darkness. So I'm gonna go through with my brush and just lay down a little bit of um, that milk paint to just kind of cover up those dark spots. And what I did was I revealed the wood underneath when I was sanding it to trim it. Oh Lord, I got flecks on this side. My chippy milk paint is causing problems. So I'm gonna dry that and then we will get this glued on and we'll go over the whole thing with our fine line crackle for some extra goodness. Although I am going to show you guys something. This paper does have like some visual crackle. Can you guys see that? It does have some visual crackle kind of in the paper, but I want some more. It was so cool. So there's a lot of German salt boxes and a lot of them were made to like hang on the wall. So in case you're just hopping on, we are taking a thrifted wood box and we are using it to create like a faux antique salt box using a recycled crockery texture decoupage paper. And I'm using some milk paint and I made this label. So I'm going to go ahead and hear that so that we can kind of go all over everything with the fine line crackle. And I'm going to use wax over my crackle today. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to heat up this stamp. So when you're using permanent ink, you don't want to just dry it. You want it to set. So you can either let it set overnight and it'll like set and it won't move anymore, or you could use heat, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to warm this up so that I don't have to worry about that smearing when I start going over it with my other products. And because I'm not sure about the nature of my fine line crackle, like I'm gonna go over this with some of my varnish because this is water based. And so I'm just gonna put like an isolation layer right over that so that if for some reason, I don't know if it would, if the fine line crackle would reactivate that ink, I'm gonna have a layer in between my stamp and the fine line crackle so that I can reduce the odds of that happening. A lot of times when you are putting together products that don't go together, you can use an isolation layer to still be able to use them together. For example, I don't know if you guys remember last year, I scored this gorgeous teal toolbox. It was a beautiful light teal color and it had rust coming through. Because there was rust, I needed to use like the clear spray paint, like the Rust-Oleum. Did 2 coats of that, but if I had gone right over that with my transfers, they probably would have peeled up over time because that can has solvents in it that would impact my transfer. So what I did was after that, I let that set for a couple of days. I did go over it with a couple of coats of a water-based sealer. So I created an isolation layer between the product that it would impact my transfers and the transfers so that I could still use them on the same project. So just something to think about when you're layering or stacking your products. So I'm using Type Bond Quick and Thick to put on the back of my mold. And this mold was made with resin. Maybe I'm using Type Bond. My top is clogged. It's no bueno. And you guys, I'm working on this silicone mat. You guys see this white mat on my table all the time. I love it. You guys will notice it's clean today. I didn't put a new one. It's the same one I've been using, the same one that I had the last time you guys saw that was like, it had everything on it. But I have yet to find anything that sticks to this mat. I love it so much. And it comes in a roll. It is so awesome. So you guys can check out my Amazon shop and you guys can find it there. If you're interested, let me know and I will either post it or send you the information. So I'm going to be pretty generous with my glue. Oh man, I almost messed it up, y'all. Make sure I'm putting it on the right side. Whoops, that'd be jacked up if I put it upside down. I love the Quick and Thick because it really does like hold so fast. You know how some glues, you're like slipping and sliding forever before it actually adheres to the surface. The Type Bond adheres really quickly, especially when you have like a little heat. Like this piece is pretty warm. So I know that that Type Bond is going to adhere really, really quickly. So my next step that I want to do is going to be a 2-part fine line crackle. So I'm going to start on the other sides and I'll do this side last so that I can make sure that that's tacked down really well before I move forward. If you're at home and you're doing this, let this dry completely before you move forward. Don't do as I say, you guys. Don't do as I do. Do as I say. I'm telling you. Because if you move forward, you might make problems for yourself and you don't want to do that. So I'm going to go in with step 1 of my fine line crackle. And I'm going to have to use a small brush because that's the only brush I have clean. You do want to use a clean, dry brush when you use this product. All my other ones are in the jar. And so if I pull them out, they're going to be wet. So I'll just use this little one. It's fine. And you guys, if you've been with me, you've heard my theory on a crackle. I think that when you do like long strokes like that, that's the kind of crackle that you're more likely to get. So when I'm laying down my crackle mediums, I like to do short hatch marks so that I get that kind of fine line crackle versus I don't I have like a issue. I don't like the long crackly. I like it when it's like short, like when it looks like crazing that you would see on pottery or an old oil painting. So, and we're so spoiled. We're used to getting like a uniform crackle effect on our pieces. But if you do a piece and the whole thing doesn't crackle, like just remember when you're looking at vintage and antique pieces, often the whole thing isn't crackled, right? It may be just a patch. that has that crackle, that crazing on it. And I am being fairly generous with this product when I lay it down. I'm not like making puddles, but I am laying down a generous layer. And it's going down milky, but it's going to dry clear. And I know I'm driving you guys a little bit crazy because I'm not giving you like brands. But my intention is for my retailers to be able to use these videos. And everybody sells different products. So I don't want them to be hesitant to use a video because I'm mentioning a product that they don't carry. And speaking of recycled retailers, if you are a creative business and you're looking for a product line to carry, consider recycled. We do offer territory protection. We have like a standard protection of 20 miles. It may vary if you're like in a densely populated area. 20 miles is a long time. Like 20 miles in my county is nothing. I mean, it's like a 20-minute drive, 15-minute drive. But if you live in a densely populated city, it may take somebody, an hour to get 20 miles. So we look at those things. So, but it is a basic territory protection of 20 miles. And, we have quarterly training, business training. I have guests who come in to offer different types of training. Last month, we did a training on ChatGPT. Last quarter, we actually had 2 trainings last quarter, but um, our buy-in is pretty low. It is a quality product, and I do a lot of marketing. So, I'm not suggesting that you don't have to do any marketing, but I do a lot of marketing. So you're more likely to have people coming to your shop looking for Roycycled. And when they come and buy paper, they will often buy other products too. I always encourage if you have like a physical shop to have a display with your paper and then whatever top coat you're selling, right? Okay. So I have that and I don't want to go over. I had a couple of drippy drips. I don't want those, but I don't want to go over this and overwork it because then I can disrupt the crackle. And I'm just going to wipe this because I'm going to have to go in with my second step in a few minutes and I don't want to get that wet. And I don't have another brush clean because I'm tired. I may be able to find one, but probably not. I'm going to dry this and then we're going to go all over this with the second coat of the crackle. And we're going to get the crackle and then we're going to use some dark wax and it's going to be so yummy. So this isn't going to look like a brand new shiny salt box. It's going to look like an old antique salt box in my mind anyways. That's what it's going to look like. And if you're looking for Roycycle decoupage paper, you can find it at roycycle.com. You can also find the retailers who carry the paper there. So you may have a shop in your community that you can go to and you can look at the paper. You can feel it and touch it and look at it in person, which is always better, right? Um, and I always say it's nice to have a creative like partner in crime. Your retailers can be there to answer questions, especially if they're selling a specific product. They probably have knowledge about steps you can take to ensure success using the product, what not to do, what to do. And I'm going to sit that down for a few minutes because I just realized we didn't do the top. So I don't know though. I feel like I don't think I'm gonna do the top. I'll let that dry, and we'll wax this. And I'm gonna start with a clear wax first. And I know I say this over and over again, but people never hear me the first time. Is surface. So if I go in with a dark wax, what's gonna happen is it's gonna suck up all that darkness right away, and I'm gonna have like very little control over how dark this gets. So I'm gonna start with a clear wax first, And that's going to give me more control over my final finish because that clear wax is really going to help me control how dark my paint gets. And if you get it too dark, you can use your clear wax to actually wipe back some of the dark wax. So if for some reason it does get too dark too quickly, you can try using some clear wax over the top and it can help you wipe back that darkness. And I did get a little bit more crazing than I thought, but not as much as I wanted. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. And even when it's not fine, it's fine. I do have, I'll just use my large one. Let me see if I have enough dark wax on there. I do not. And I'm using a dark brown wax, not black today, for this project. I love the look of old stoneware. You know how it gets like brown and you have a crazing. Oh, it just, I don't know why. It brings me so much joy. So I think I'm always chasing that finish. So that's pretty dark, but I'm going to wipe some of that back. I got to find a soft part. I'm going to have to get a new towel pretty soon, you guys. This one has seen better days. And so you see, I can keep wiping and that dark wax will come off, or I can leave it on there. Like I have control over um, how dark I want this versus it being absorbed by the paint. And then it's hard to wipe it back because it's not sitting on top. It's actually absorbed into the paint. And I'm going to go ahead and buff this, right? Because we want everything to look nice and ceramic. And that shine is part of that. And if you're new, I'm just taking a little wooden box and we're making like a faux salt box using recycled decoupage paper. And so I know that leaving this as a wood lid would probably been more authentic, but I wanted it to be, I just, I want what I want. So let me dry this some more and we can put step 2 on. You guys, I am going to be here every day for the month of January doing creative projects. So if you're looking for inspiration to kind of get your kick of inspiration for 2026, you can come and join me. This can be a co-working opportunity where I can be working and you can be working while you're watching. It's a really nice way for you to set aside time, right, to be able to create. And maybe I'll inspire you with a new idea or a new process or technique that you can integrate into your creative process. I do want to show, while this is drying, I'm going to show you guys a short video. Um, and then when I get back, we can talk about it a little bit more. It's like less than a promise. If you've been craving If you've been craving time just for you, time to create, to breathe, to reconnect with who you are, I want to personally invite you to the 2026 Recycled Besties Retreat. We're gathering in beautiful downtown Safford, Arizona for 3 days of creativity, connection, and rest. All your creative supplies are provided, breakfast and lunch are taken care of, and you'll even receive exclusive recycled retreat only goodies. We are already over halfway full, so if your heart's been whispering maybe, this is your moment to say yes. Click the link to claim your seat. I would love to meet you here. And so, if you guys are interested in joining us at the Recycle Retreat, I think we have like a dozen seats still available. Then you can find out more information. Um, Here's a QR code for you to find out more information. If you are on Facebook, you can put hashtag retreat and you'll get a message with a link that'll take you to where you can get additional information there. But I'm super excited. I feel like it's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Oh, and one big thing is I do offer a payment plan so you can make 3 payments over the course of the next 3 months. But because of the timing, that's only available till January 23rd. So after then, the payment plan will not be available anymore just because we have less than 3 months after that, right? So if you want to take advantage of that, you can register before the 23rd. Okay. So I think our first coat is dry enough. And I want to put the second coat on. I should have been shaking this so that the bubbles could settle. So I'm like mixing this. I don't want to shake it though, because then I'll end up with a bunch of bubbles in there. And that's no bueno. So I'm just going to shake it kind of just a little bit evenly. And let me pick up a little bit around here. We still need that. We don't need that. That can go in there. Okay. And we're going to go over it with this is the step 2 of the fine line crackle. And I feel like I want to stir that and make sure that everything is that I need is going to be integrated into there. And we're going to use our same brush I made earlier. Oh, it's already kind of crunchy. And we're going to lay down step 2 of the crackle medium. And I'm going to follow my same little short hatchy paint strokes as I did on the first layer. And I could just put this here and there. I wouldn't have to cover up the whole surface, but I really like crackle a lot. And I know that it's going to crackle different in different places, some places more than others. And I can put my product on um, thinner in some places and thicker in others. The thinner you put it, the smaller your crackle will be. So just something to think about when you're laying down as well. And I'm going to go right over this because I want it to be involved in the crack-a-lackin' process. I know that paint looks bright white right there, but we're going to put dark wax over everything, so it won't matter. If you are just popping on, we're upcycling a thrift store box to look like an antique German salt box is my goal. Um, and we are on our last steps. We started by using the recycled crockery textures decoupage paper. to decoupage our box. Did I already go over that side? Oh, okay, I guess I did. That was fast. Um, and that was our first simple decoupage project, just decoupaging it right. You could also just paint the top and put it on, and that would be beautiful. You could have waxed right over your paper once it was sealed. But you guys know I have to do the most. And so we've added a label on here, and now we're doing the two-step crackle over everything. And then I'm going to go in. I'm kind of the reason why I want to use the wax rather than the paste is because I want to make sure that it's the same tone. It's the same tonally as the lid because we use wax on that. So I'm probably just going to go right over this with the dark wax and push it down into those cracks. Me. And I'll be live here every day in the month of January doing a project. This is day, what is today? Today's the 14th, right? Yeah. So I wasn't live yesterday because I had my membership group call. Um, and I didn't go on January 1st. So this makes 12 days, you guys, that we've gone live together to create 13 if you count our chatting and crafting that we do on Sunday nights. And we have quite a few projects that we've done. And I'm super excited with all of them. I can just say the ones that are grungy will probably go into my space. Um, I feel like my living room needs some new life. I need to do a reset. And I've scored some stuff off of Whatnot. I got to figure out how to display. So I'm using this. You guys see me moving it a lot though, because I do not want to have bubbles in my paper. If you hold heat too close, it can impact the adhesion on the adhesive underneath your paper and you can get bubbles. So I'm moving and I'm also like just being conscientious to not get too close because I don't want to ruin my decoupage finish. It's interesting because when I'm on in the afternoons, I have a lot more international people join us. I mean, in the evenings, we have our Canadians, which we appreciate. But in the afternoons, I guess it's because of the time difference. I notice we have a lot more people from across the pond joining us. So welcome, welcome. If you guys are looking for a community of like-minded individuals where you can meet on a regular basis and create and lift up and encourage each other, consider joining the Recycled Besties membership group. Our call, our call last night was so fun, and I think it's because we miss each other. We did not meet for 2 weeks, because of the holidays, and we've met once since then, but I miss seeing everybody. So it was nice. And we do hang out in like real time. So on my membership dashboard, it's kind of like Zoom, the platform that I use. So we are all hanging out in real time. So we usually chat. I mean, we usually do like a lesson for the first 40 minutes of the call. And then the rest of it, we're just like catching up or asking questions. We have people, some are business owners, some are hobbyists who enjoy creating, some are new business owners, some are older, some are new hobbyists, some are seasoned hobbyists, or some have different fields of interest or things that they're like really knowledgeable about. And so we get to ask those questions around things that maybe we don't know a lot about, but somebody in the group may have knowledge about. So it's just really, really good. Um, I honestly started my membership as an opportunity to generate another stream of revenue, but my membership has become, I don't know, it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. It's a community that I truly cherish. And so you can visit roycycledacademy.com to find information about my membership. Or if you go to roycycle.com, you guys, there's a tab that says buy, and you can go there and you can either buy directly or you can find a retailer. And then there's one that says learn. And if you click on that, you'll find actually all of my courses and my membership and the retreat as well. They're all in that section of my website. And I can see the crack-a-lacking that's happening. And it's hard, right? Because you can't see it until you do something to bring it out. So I'm going to go over this a little bit more. I want to make sure everything is dry. And then I'm going to go in with some dark wax. And I'm going to go in right away with the dark wax. This medium is really shiny. You guys can see the sheen. Oh, look at that. So it makes it easier to wipe the wax back. Um, so I'm not worried about it absorbing into the surface, but I do push it into the cracks of my crackle-lackle that's happening. And for those of you who've been coming and joining me, I so appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I hope that you guys have been inspired by the projects we've made. When I first started this, it's supposed to be quick crafts with Royce. So it's supposed to be like 15 to 30 minutes, but I'm like at an hour and a half every day. I don't know. I know. It's just ridiculous. But the projects are really cool though. So it's worth it. So I'm just going to use my towel. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this dark wax. And I know I'm supposed to use paste and then go over this with the shellac, but I'm breaking the rules. And I'm going to push that down into those cracks. Ugh, I love it. Look at that, you guys. Can you see that crack-a-lackin'? That crazing? Oh my gosh. You guys can't see it, can you? There we go. You see that? Isn't that gorgeous? I don't know why I'm obsessed with crackle, but I am. Um, I don't currently have a retailer in Europe, but Furniture Facelift by Kobe is in Canada and they do ship to Europe. And it's not by choice. I would love to have somebody in Europe. So if you know a creative business owner, you can talk to them about the product and maybe I want to make sure and get it like into those small areas. So I'm going to use my small wax brush, but it's hard. So I load it with a little bit of wax so those solvents can soften it up a little bit. And then I'm going to like get it into the crevasses, the crevices around this. So I really don't want to have anything that's bright white, right? Ugh, I shouldn't be so happy with my own project, but I am so happy with this project. And I'm not even done yet. And I really am just trying to get that wax into all of the recesses of this piece. And then I can go in and, oh my gosh, you guys, look at that. You see that crackle over that? See, now doing this, I've gotten another idea for another project. Do you see that crackle? It is absolutely gorgeous. Um, I always say, like, watching people create, I do it all the time. I watch video after video after video of people creating, and I get wonderful ideas from doing that. However, my greatest breakthroughs or my best ideas happen when I'm actually creating. And so, if you've been on the sidelines watching, I encourage you to let your hands meet your heart and just create something Doesn't have to be for any reason, doesn't have to be perfect. Just create because there's your heart's going to be happier for it. And when you're creating is when you're going to be inspired to create more. For some reason, my fingers do a better job of pushing the wax into those crevices than my towel. This is why I cannot have nice nails, you guys. And then you see how easy that extra wax lifts off the top? I'm going to go here and make sure that I'm pushing that into that crackle. Ugh, I love this so much. We'll see if I'm able to sell it on Whatnot. I might keep it for myself. And if you are on Whatnot, Roycycled is on Whatnot. You guys can find us. It's Roycycled. We generally do a show like once a month because I really like to curate like really special things for the shows. And I found that if we do it once a month, I'm more effective in doing that than doing it more often. We did it every week for a while. That was a lot. But my hoard is huge and I do go picking, so I find really cool stuff. And some of the stuff that I make, we sell on Whatnot as well. And if you're a recycled retailer, you can sell recycled decoupage paper on Whatnot. It is an approved site. You just have to do it in your buy now section. Um, but it's a wonderful place to sell because not everybody over there knows about the product. So you can have people who are looking for vintage stuff to upcycle, and you have the paper there in your shop as well. This top part is not, and maybe it just didn't crackle as much, which is fine too. But like, oh my gosh, is that not absolutely gorgeous? And just think when we started off with just a plain wooden box, but with a few products, a little bit of elbow grease and some imagination, we were able to create this super cute, um, antique looking salt box just using products that we have. I just love this so much. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's project. Obviously, I did. And again, if you are new, my name is Royce Hunt Bell. I'm the founder, owner, and operator of Roycycled Treasures. We create our goal is to get people to create. And then whether you're creating for your heart, for your home, or even for your business, we can provide you with quality craft supplies, inspiration, education, and I don't know, inspiration, instruction. Lord have mercy. I forgot the other one. Anyways, so come hang out with us. We make it on a regular basis. I'm live once a week, Sunday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time with my husband for crafting and chatting. And then I'll be live every day in the month of January. If you're looking for Roycycled decoupage paper, you can find it at roycycled.com. You can also find the retailers who carry the paper. You guys remember where experimentation goes, creativity follows. So please, I beg of you, make time to play in your creative practice and just experiment to see what happens. Thank you so much. I'll see you again tomorrow.